Hello everyone and welcome back to this video. So today we are going taking a look on how to upgrade to Spring Boot 4.0 and Java 24. But without further ado, let's dive in. So one of the first questions we should answer, why would we upgrade? For Spring Boot 4.0, there is a lot of functionality being added, but basically for now, it's enhancing the core enhancements, which is basically updating the baseline page both for Java 17 and Jakarta EE, also for Kotlin and other things. There is another interesting thing, which is called API versioning. I leave you the description below. There are a lot of Medium articles in here. But aside from functionality, there's one major important thing here to consider. So Spring Boot 4.0 will arrive at the end of the year, and you see that it will be supported until the end of next year, which means in turn that if you are on Spring Boot 3.4, support for security upgrades and everything else will already end at the end of this year. And even if you're on the latest 3.5, it will end at the mid of next year. So this means if you don't upgrade to 4.0 until the mid of next year, and if you don't pay, so if you have enterprise support here, this means that you will not receive any security updates anymore. And not having security updates is usually a bad thing. So one of the most important things is to still receiving security updates next year. So of course, the first thing we need to do if you want to upgrade to Spring Boot 4.0, we will use the latest milestone release. And just like that, we will say we will have the version 4.0.0 M1. So now we compile and let's see what's going to happen. We already get a problem here. So at least if you're using auto configuration from Flyway and Hibernate. So if this is in your projects, you will already get a compile error out of the box. Why is that? So if you take a look here, it says that the package auto configure Flyway does not exist, and the same is true for the auto configure Hibernate. So why is that? As it's a major release, the Spring people started to change the packet structure. And what you need to do right up front, and again, if you take a look here in the documentation, it will tell you that you need to have additional starters with additional configuration here, with additional auto configuration. So for my use case, we now need the Open Telemetry Spring Boot starter, we need Flyway, and also if you use REST template and REST client, you also need that. One funky thing is currently for OpenTelemetry, you also need to set the version. I don't know exactly why it is like this, but I think it could tie in with that the artifacts are now also uploaded to Maven repo, the milestones, and maybe this did not work for that one artifact and it's still resolving elsewhere. So just keep that in mind. Now with that being included, we try to build again. We still get the error, of course, so we have to fix our imports now because there is now a new imports here. So that one, and there should be another one like that. And now these errors should go away and we will arrive to the patch of the next errors. Okay, class not found observation. So this is also related to the auto configuration changes. There is one additional dependency that I'm using here for data source instrumentation, and we see here the same. So it's trying to reflectively invoke an auto configuration that's currently not available. So we will just remove that and try to build again. Looks better. Now we get class not found K classes. So the question is, where is that coming from? And I can already tell you that's related to the Spring Doc dependency that we are using somewhere here. What we need to do for that is we need to currently disable the Kotlin support. So I guess this has to do with the Kotlin baseline upgrade, and there was also a change. So don't worry if you're using Kotlin. Spring documentation for OpenAPI will still work. It just has a little bit of reduced functionality. So we set that to false. We try to build again. Looks better now. Okay, we have the build and now we are running the tests. For the test, there is a small change. So for whatever reason, the local server port package was changed again because it was already changed in the latest version Spring Boot 3.0. So we have to fix that. Okay, waiting, compiling, testing, and should look much better now. Ah, now we're done. So these are the changes that we need to do. One small thing is if you want to build native images, there is a slew of reflection hints, at least for Hibernate, that need to be registered because there was also an upgrade to Hibernate 7.0 in the background. So this won't affect the build. So we now run our application. We can start it. You will find this in the example project. I'll link in the description if you're interested in building native images. And now the application started and it should greet us with a Spring Boot 4.0 somewhere. Okay, so that's good. So Spring Boot 4.0 is already running. Next step, let's do an upgrade to Java 24 to prepare for Java 25. So of course, if you want to have Java 24 here, you need to compile. So the build SDK I'm currently using is from Azul, which also works on my Mac. Next thing, also very important, Gradle needs to be on one of the latest versions. I use 18.14 here, 8.14. So this works with Java 24 already. There is already a release candidate for Gradle 9.0, but that's currently not working correctly with Spring Boot. So we are using that here. So these are the prerequisites. And from that on now, there's just some small changes here. We need to increase or we should increase our source code compatibility to Java 24. If we want to have a JVM base image, we need to upgrade our base image. So my preferred Samara runtime is not yet available for 24, so we are using the Eclipse Temurin here. And if we want to build native images, we now have to do the same here. We have to upgrade to Java 24. Side note, the native image compile from Spring Boot 4.0 is currently only working with Java 24. It's not working for Java 21. You will get an initializer exception when trying to start that, so it's also required. So we have to do that. This looks good, looks fine. And if you are using Jib, Jib is currently also not compatible with Java 24, so I left it to do here. We need to update the ASM dependency, which is able to analyze the build and to automatically include the main class. I guess that's it. Let's try to compile it. Starting to compile. Now everything is nice and shiny with Java 24. Deprecation, and I guess it should be working. Yes, and we can start again. And now we are happily running with Java 24. So now let's have some bonus tips and tricks. If you're on Kotlin, everything also works. You need to apply all the changes already having. And then if you have a REST client here, you need to add that as class any type here. IntelliJ proposed that and then it's working again. And also what I noticed for our exception handler, there is a change that strings that were optional before are now not optional anymore. The compiler will tell you that. And yeah, but these are the two things that have to be fixed. If we take a look at Spring Batch, there is also some minor changes. So it's mostly imports that were changed. So we see here in our current application and the Spring Boot version, some imports need to be changed to Spring Batch core. It's the same here. Same for job execution. Step completion listener basically just imports, and then there is one bigger change, I would say. The job launcher is deprecated in favor of the so-called job operator, but it's doing the same. And instead of job launcher run, we will now say job operator start. And that's it. One additional thing to add, I was not able to get the native compile running with Spring Batch. It was complaining about some problems with the database tables that needed to be included during the build. It's something with an expression that's not working. So native images are currently not working here. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will have some fun and can start experimenting with Java 24 and Spring Boot 4.0. Yeah, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.